Mhm.
G'day.
Good morning.
Today we're going to be talking about disclosure because it's a very broad subject. It's all over the internet and there's lots of promises of disclosure. We don't actually fully trust that there will be disclosure, but we thought that if there was disclosure, it might be a good place for us to talk about what does disclosure actually mean uh, to the planet, to the individual.
Mm.
And we spent a lot of time thinking about what this means. It's actually we've tried to simplify it. It's actually pretty complicated, but I think we've done a good job at simplifying it, haven't we?
I hope so.
Yeah,
We've
I hope
tried.
so. Yeah, good. So,
Yeah,
all
we've
right,
done our best, as always. We just do
all
our
right.
best.
So we've got a cup of tea and all the rest of it.
Mm.
And the thing is that one thing you'll notice with this whole disclosure process is all over the social media is that the news seems to be always more spectacular, more dramatic, always escalating. And so this can be seen as beings trying to draw humans in. We need to understand that we need to use basic common sense because we don't want to be pulled down the rabbit hole into the disclosure. So we're imagining that today there's been some level of disclosure and everybody's going, oh, okay, we're not alone in the universe.
By
By
official disclosure.
yeah, by
By
humans,
the governments,
by
not by individuals, not by whistleblowers, not by us,
yeah,
but an official level disclosure event, not by extraterrestrials. Okay,
yeah.
that's
So
not what we're talking about here.
yeah, well, look, if they come and sort of sit over every city with their craft, I don't think anyone's going to need to come out and say they might, there could be ET. I mean, it's at that point, it's pretty much all over
I don't know. I mean,
in regards to, oh, look, there's craft up there.
I
Okay.
mean, think of all the incredible videos we've seen of the holographic projections done by drones and everything in the sky.
Yeah.
They're phenomenal,
Yeah.
absolutely phenomenal. So,
Phenomenal. Yeah. Absolutely.
would people? I don't know. Can we tell the difference?
All right. So, what's the? Someone says that they're present and ready to go with their cup of tea. Well done, John. All right.
It's the English effect. Need that cup of tea. Right. So what we've done is
We've got a lot of notes.
we've got
Lots of notes.
we're not using all of this lot for today. Don't worry. That would be madness. I don't know whether you've heard it, but people say things like when they're talking about disclosure, it's too, it's just a pill that somebody's going to swallow, or, really broad brush statements. And because I think we've worked with such a range of people over the years, from people who are self-confessed skeptical people to people that believe that they are in constant communication with multiple races 24/7, to people that are just beginning to realize what they may have been experiencing over their lifetime, we can immediately identify that disclosure is going to mean different things to different people. And although that might be like a really obvious thing to say, you don't really hear that said on these regular conversations we're hearing online, whether they're on YouTube or Twitter, whatever.
I think
That's why we're coming at it from this.
So on Twitter and
Approach.
which is X, or any other social media post,
Yeah.
all people are saying this, and there's some people who are actual, government officials that are saying things, and others are whistleblowers and whatever.
Yeah.
And people are saying, I've seen this, or I've seen that, or I've been in this skiff, or I've done this, and they're saying, when we tell you, this is going to be really difficult for you to understand. It's going to be world changing and all the rest of it.
Mm.
Okay, well that's fine. So, and we're all waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, and as Tricia says, some people are saying they're always on their way. They're always just about nearly here, but never quite.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think you're being drip fed information, and I can understand why that could happen as well.
Yeah,
it's a very good tactic for educating people well, will they even be interested? So what we want to do is just go through we've got 7 different stages, we believe, or 7 different types of people.
Yeah, we've like I was saying, based on the sorts of situations that people have found themselves in over the years whilst we've been working with them, we've kind of got 7 broad categories of people, and we're
going to be talking from our own experience as well.
Yeah,
right?
I was going to say we're going to hypothesize the potential effect, but a lot of that hypothesizing comes from our own experiences. So,
well, yeah, because remember, we weren't always
in the know.
with the Zetas or the spirit people or whatever.
Yeah.
There were times when we didn't know anything about stuff, and so we're able to look at these different categories and go, where do we fit in these categories as well in the past, which is really good because. What's the first one? We'll talk about that.
Well, the first one is the people that just simply don't have time for disclosure, and as much as we're being told there are going to be people that really just don't care. They're just not going to care. Now, are they just not caring because, like so many people, they're struggling on day-to-day life at this point? Do I have enough money to pay for food this week? Can I pay the electric bill? Have we run out of fuel? Can I get to work? All these sorts of things. There are going to be a lot of people that just simply don't have the space in their life for disclosure in any way at all, no matter who's telling them whatever.
It could be, and I've been in this situation. You just don't want to know. You just, if anyone mentioned that type of disclosure, extraterrestrials, to me 30, 40 years ago, I'd have just looked at them and just walked off. I wouldn't have spoke, just because I just couldn't deal with the fact that there was some possibility that we weren't alone. And I don't know
because
why.
It was too overwhelming.
It was just too overwhelming. Of course, now I know, but I'm saying back then, my whole attitude towards it was, I just don't want to know about it.
Yeah. So a lot of people will feel probably similar, maybe for different reasons, but they'll just ignore it and they'll carry on. So, I think there'll be a very large percentage of the population that does that, just because a large percentage of the population aren't in a place to have the room in their lives to even think about stuff like that.
And it's interesting that we're talking about this from our perspective. We're not overseas where, there's stuff going on. People live completely different lives in the Middle East and all that, those sort of places. And I'm sure that disclosure for a lot of people will be a complete non-event. They just won't care at all.
So that's the first group.
That's the first group, yeah.
All right. The second group of people are those that are very skeptical, and they will remain skeptical, and they will highly likely attribute any disclosure down to like a distraction from any other sort of global event that may or may not be taking place.
Yeah.
And quite rightly so, because we all know that there have been many big distractions made public to cover up other things that are going on in the world. That's what we'll say about that. We work with skeptical people, and they need a lot of convincing and a lot of proof and a lot of evidence.
But don't you, if you think back to the Roswell incident, didn't they say that it was a weather balloon? Right.
Well, they changed their mind.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that I think people have got every right in the world to be skeptical.
Absolutely.
People have been misled, and there's been a lot of misinformation. There's been, a lot of people doing cover-up and all sort of stuff. And so I would lean on the side of skepticism any time I saw any information. And it's got to the point that the internet is so full of
rubbish,
AI implemented videos that most people are just sitting there going, is this even real?
Yeah.
Because it's got to the point where you just can barely tell anymore whether something's real or not. And so it's really important to remain skeptical.
Yeah. Group 3.
Group 3.
Now, these are the experiences of, I hate this word because I can't say it, the phenomenon.
The phenomenon.
Can't say that word. Now, a couple of years ago, the phenomenon was the buzzword. I don't remember if you remember 2 or 3 years ago. That's all people talked about. Wasn't there a documentary entitled the same? Wasn't there a documentary made by?
I think so. Yes,
there was.
Yeah, there
it was
was
called
the phenomenon.
It was called that.
And of course, everyone made sure they used the words ontological shock as much as they possibly could.
Anyway, we're moving on from that bit. But now when we talk about the phenomenon, I can say it. I'm grown up. We're talking about lights in the sky, like group contact events, like C5 events, and people getting really excited because they might see like a flash or pulsing or something. Not understanding that it might not necessarily be an extraterrestrial craft. In fact, I think I saw something the other day that talked about the sheer amount of space junk in the sky at this point.
It's vast.
Is also phenomenal, and can easily cause reflections of light. I'm not saying that's what it is, but I'm saying it's a possible cause given the amount of rubbish up there. But we talked about this a few years ago.
We've got a video about it.
Yeah, and I've put, because we don't have the time to go into every single little nuance, in the video blurb underneath where you're watching, there's a couple of links to videos where we talk about the phenomenon in great detail. But, a lot of it is what we call the reflection of consciousness in the fabric. Remember all those conversations we did?
Yeah, we've done all this.
Get a group of people together. They all want to see something. They've all got like this sort of subconscious thing. We're probably going to see lights flashing in the sky. What do we see? Lights flashing in the sky. So not just flares being dropped out of airplanes.
You generally get what you expect, and that's really important. So the thing is the main basis for what we're doing is this.
Yeah.
We're trying to make people aware that when something happens, the way that you react to it will depend on your personality type or who you are.
And
what we're talking about is what is a safe response. And as we go through this, we're going to start to get into more deeper territory, especially when we get down to about 6 or 7, in regards to how does this affect people in different ways. So stick with it and we'll see how we go. What's the next one?
I'm not singing that song, John. If that gets stuck in my head for the next week, it's going to be your fault. But coming back to what does disclosure mean to those experiences of the phenomenon?
The problem, there's massive problems with...
it's highly likely going to validate what they believe they've seen. And these are where the issues come in.
This is where all the problems start. And people might go, that's not, how can that possibly be? Well, let's pretend that you have had some sort of experience and it's got nothing to do with extraterrestrials. It might have just been spirits or even some sort of kinetic energy experience or whatever. And now, of course, there's been some disclosure and automatically the person jumps to that their experience was extraterrestrial and that they have to create some level of contact with aliens or non-human, whatever you want to call it, right? Entities. And by the way, I don't mind saying the word alien. It seems to freak people out and other people don't like it, but I like it. I think it's a good word. All right. So
there you go.
There you go. But the thing is that people will try to fit their experience in with this new paradigm, with this new worldview. And that's okay as long as they maintain some common sense about how they do it. Because this in itself can be quite a tricky situation. And we'll be talking about that in a minute with how do you even identify things. So
So their experience of disclosure is going to be a perceived positive one. It's going to likely validate all the things that they thought they saw, and now they really do believe what they saw.
You see, I can't equate with okay, so what you've just said there, I agree with, but
Yeah.
what I'm also seeing is people saying, if we told you what was really happening, you wouldn't sleep at night. And it's like, okay, wait a minute, is it we can't sleep at night, but you somehow you were told, but you're managing to sleep at night, but nobody else can. It's a lot of gatekeeping that's taking place, and to me, it's like, look, just tell everybody, because we're all a little bit over all this at this point, and we'll just have to work out how to deal with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happy to move on?
Yep.
All right. The next category we've identified are people or experiences who believe they have some level of interdimensional contact, experiences of interdimensional activity. What do we even mean by that? Because we're separating that out from extraterrestrial contact at this point.
This is a big area, and interdimensional contact is extremely difficult to evidence, okay? Unless somebody from the seventh dimension or whatever is actively working with a person and they're able to demonstrate on some level in a three-dimensional space that they have abilities that they can support humanity with, then of course that's about the only thing that they've got. Then they're not going to be flying around in craft. They're because they're in a different dimension. They're in a different frequency. And so I'm not sure that the interdimensional people, and there would be a lot of them, by the way.
Are you talking about the people believing they're in contact with?
Yeah, humans that, well, they may be. This is the thing. They may have, on some level, instigated some level of contact, whether through, and I'm not, actually, you know what, I'm not going to disclose how to do that, because people probably will try it, and I don't think you should. So all I'm saying is if those people have decided that they have interdimensional contact, but they actually don't even know what that entity is, but they sort of get telepathic downloads and all the rest of it. For them, they're probably going to also go, well, wow, this is all true. So now, of course, that validates their experiences as well. And they also need to be careful, because there's a lot of beings out there that don't really have your best interest at heart. So
there's a lot of rabbit holes to go down with this for these people. If you're already in a sort of an unhealthy relationship with a being that maybe you're not particularly really aware of, it's just going to send you down that pathway probably more deeply. How would you define like a pseudo interdimensional relationship or contact or connection? What would be sort of the symptoms, if you like, of
it's not a symptom. Okay.
What would the person be describing that they were seeing?
Well, that's up to them what they see. But I'll give an example. The Arcturians. How do you experience them? They're interdimensional.
So I thought you were asking me. Of course. Yeah. Well, there's no light languages involved.
No.
There are no projected 3D symbols involved. I'm not seeing myself surrounded by like symbols everywhere or anything like that. Generally, when we work with people who believe they're in connection with interdimensional beings, that's the sort of thing they generally describe as going on around them. That's not how I experience the Arcturians at all.
Okay. So, but you know in your own mind that the evidence that you've been given by them was was substantial enough that you were able to determine that they were not three-dimensional physical containers with a fifth-dimensional consciousness or something like that, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of yes.
Yeah. Okay, we're getting there slowly.
Right. 5. This is a tricky one to explain in some respects, but people in and we've classed it as a misunderstood relationship with beings, and some examples of that might be spirits pretending to be extraterrestrials, or those people that have created like a subconscious entity or spirit that they don't realize what they've done.
Form.
Well, that's sort of what a subconscious entity is, isn't it? Really, a thought form.
Yeah, but it could be externalized. So.
Well, give it enough power, and it will be, regardless of which one it is.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so, of course, those people, upon disclosure, will also.
They're just going to go, "Hey, I already knew," because they, as far as they're concerned, that's what they think they're doing already. No big deal for them, right? If you're already communicating with what you think is an extraterrestrial, then being told that extraterrestrials exist probably isn't going to make much difference. Hello?
Well, I'm waiting to get to the one
I'm
waiting to get to the one that actually is very concerning.
This is where we move now onto the groups, and there's only 2 left, and these are the really big, complicated subjects. The experiences of actual extraterrestrial contact.
Yeah.
Now, this is a whole different kettle of fish.
Think about people like Travis Walton, Whitley Strieber,
Betty and Barney
Hill.
You.
Yeah, okay. But,
me.
You. And a whole lot of other people that have actually had serious physical contact.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's become a reality that it's real. Now, we have to talk about this in a way where we're talking about it from our own experience. We're not going to be talking about other people's experiences. So the first thing, if I didn't know what I know about the Zetas, I would be sitting here going, why have I been contacted? Why me? What was going on in my life that caused them to come into my house and take me aboard a craft? That would be the first question that I would have. Because now, of course, somehow, through disclosure, they've identified that there are extraterrestrials. My life has been all about trying to pretend it didn't exist, or to be in denial, or I've had screen memories where I don't remember fully what's taken place. And now, of course, I've got a problem, because what I thought maybe could have just been a bad dream or a lucid experience or whatever, turns out that it actually is true. All right. So I would also want to know, and I am reading my notes because this is a very big subject. Did anybody know that this was happening to me, or to anybody else that's actually had physical contact with extraterrestrials?
So, John, yes, for us, extraterrestrial means physical being, physical contact.
Physical contact.
Yeah.
And the other thing is it may be that you have, so you're asleep, you get put into the astral frequency, we'll just say that.
Yeah.
You're then taken out through a wall onto a craft, and the work is done on your etheric body, your etheric consciousness, and then it's put back into your physical body, your physical container. Now, but the beings that did that, those beings themselves were physical beings.
Yeah.
They were not etheric beings, because etheric beings would be dimensional beings. Okay? So we need to clarify that.
What about the shock? Now, ontological shock, it's always the word that is used to describe what people are going to experience. And
well, it's going to be a massive shock. I think
it is a shock.
Look, you've got to understand, we've worked with a lot of people over the years, and we've had so many people come to us and say, look, I'm actually being contacted, and I don't like it. And the stories I've heard from people are actually mind-blowing. And it's just, you just have to sit there and think to yourself, this seems to be such a common occurrence for so many people.
Yeah.
How can this not be the most talked about subject ever?
Well, you know the answers to that.
Yeah, of course.
Because people get ridiculed. That
Yeah.
section they get taken to the doctor. It's horrible.
Yeah.
You know, and that brings us to that point. All those people, especially in the last, you know,
Well,
last generation,
gaslight, weren't they?
absolutely. You know, they've probably lost their job. They've not received any support, emotional support for what they've experienced. They've been absolutely laughed at and ridiculed.
Who could they even talk to?
Yeah.
And interestingly, it may not have been just them that was getting contacted. That it could be a generational thing. It could be sort of other members of their family that it's happening to as well.
Yeah.
And basically, that nobody's talking about it because not everyone thinks that it's just not real because they've probably got screen memories or, you know, it's only when people sit down and start talking, they go, hey, hang on, I had some experience the other day and you seem to have had the same experience. So what's really going on? This is where, for me, disclosure becomes really problematic.
Yeah.
All right? Because who is being disclosed? What race is being disclosed?
Yeah.
What behaviours are being disclosed? And here's my next question, and these are my questions, right? If I was taken and I fought back, which I did when I was younger, what does that mean for me now if somehow we are in alliance with these beings? Okay, so that's a technical question. What do I do? What do I have to? What do I sort of think? Well, hang on, I don't want to be in a relationship with these beings. They have been coming in and taking me or doing whatever they want, and of course, that's probably not the experience that other people have had. Everybody would have had their own types of experiences. So for me, that was a really big question. And then the next one was, okay, so there's disclosure. They've disclosed that there's extraterrestrials or beings or interdimensionals. And I do hear a lot of people talk about interdimensionals. I think was it Gary Nolan or David Grush that talked about it? I think it was David Grush. It's David Grush, isn't it?
I'm waiting to hear the
they said, something like, you know, beings don't necessarily have to be physical, you know. And so that alluded to sort of...
I think it was Grush.
You think it was Grush anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So the thing is will all abductions now stop? Or being taken? We'll use that word, really.
What about the screen memories? Do you think disclosure means that people's screen memories will fail, they'll drop?
I hope not, because it's scaffolding. That screen memories are put around the human's mind because ultimately that helps them to distance themselves from the event, from the actual being taken. And the problem is,
which can be a bit traumatic.
It can be very traumatic. We've had dealings with this ourselves.
Yes.
And you only need to drop one screen memory in an inappropriate way, and people will go, "What does that even mean?" Well, that's probably, you know, too difficult to describe, but it was helped by other extraterrestrials to do it. Now, some people go, "Oh, you know, I've had hypnotherapy and I've had all my screen memories, you know, given to me. I know what they are and all the rest of it." If suddenly all your screen memories were taken away, you'd be well past ontological shock.
I recall one screen memory that was designed to fail, because some of them are designed to fail.
Yeah, I think they're class C, I think.
I can't remember.
Just in saying that, we've got a good video on screen memory.
We've got two, and I've put the links into the video thing,
yeah,
into the information down. But I remember that screen memory dropping like it was supposed to, and I swear to God, I nearly dropped a pan of boiling water when it's like it all comes back to you in one go, and I didn't sleep for weeks and weeks after that. It absolutely threw me sideways. And this is after multiple years of working with the Zetas, and I still had that reaction to the screen memory being dropped, which exposed what had happened. And it wasn't even that bad what had happened. In fact, it wasn't bad at all. It was actually awesome. But it was so utterly shocking. And at the time, it was because of the vibrational frequency, the level of fear that you go through, even when you're not fearful, which is just ridiculous.
And that's your
it's horrendous. That's my personal
yeah.
experience.
That's what I mean. We talk about our own experiences.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if everybody if suddenly you had heaps and heaps of people, their screen memories dropping because maybe there was something in the disclosure that enabled that frequency change, and it is possible. Because maybe you're more open to it now than you were.
Well, the thing is,
oh my goodness,
and I mean, there's a question there: can people, have mental health issues? The thing is, imagine that the screen memory dropped and it was the best experience of your life. You're flying a craft, and you actually were. You're going to be going, well, why did I need to have a screen memory? Because I really enjoyed that. The other one is that it wasn't a great experience, and now you're just going, okay, so this sucks. Okay, so it just depends what memory was being covered up. Now, generally, it's the screen memories are based around visitation. Like I might say to Syann, did anything happen here last night? And you might go, I was going to ask you that question as well, right? So, yeah, you just don't know what the screen memories are or what their purposes are unless you're told, and that's really, really difficult. The next question I would definitely have, and I'll ask you this question. Type your answer into the chat.
I have no idea what he's about to
She doesn't know what I'm about to say. Be careful. So, if you had to choose one person that would represent the planet and you in negotiations with extraterrestrials,
like a human ambassador,
who would you choose?
Ooh,
all right.
That is a big question.
Yeah, there you go. And that in itself is problematic. So there's I don't know whether anyone's typing or whether people are going, I've got no idea who could do it. But that person would be under so much pressure.
They'd be Can you imagine the responsibility of representing the human race right now? Aliens land, you've been designated the ambassador, and you're called to account for human behavior. I'd be like, nah, they've got nothing to do with me. I keep myself away from everybody. Yeah, goodness gracious. It's no wonder they haven't landed, isn't it? That was a really interesting question.
Well, I'm reading the answers. I'm not going to say them out.
Not that person. Yeah, I'm not reading it out loud.
That's really strange. Anyway, so that's a difficult question, honestly.
It's a serious question, though, because it leads somewhere, doesn't it, that question?
Yeah, of course it does.
Yeah.
Who can you trust? So that was the next big question. So how do I know who I can trust? And not just about the negotiations, but if information has been covered up, and supposedly it has, and there's they're talking about disclosing this information, okay, who can you actually trust? Because there'll be so many distorted sources of information, because some people have a vested interest in getting their agenda met. Okay?
Yeah.
And we won't talk about that too much.
You can talk about it from so many perspectives.
Yeah, because you can talk about it from so many different perspectives.
Subconscious bias.
Honestly, just go onto Twitter or X, and you'll see what's going on there. It's a chaos. It's absolute chaos. So
we're saying disclosure is bringing up all these different. Is highly likely to bring up all these different thoughts.
Yeah.
These different.
And you notice that with this one specific subject.
Yeah.
That it may be that the person is not wanting to make contact, whereas all the others, most of them, most of the categories that we went through,
Yeah.
people would be trying to make some sort of level of contact. But with the one level of contact where there was physical interaction, that may be the one where the people are going, there's no way I want to bring this into my life. I just don't want to.
And so what we're saying there is there's a good proportion of people I'd highly likely to think would go into absolute denial. They'd go into shutdown on this basis. Sometimes the level of personal disclosure when your screen memories do drop is so huge. You do go into shutdown. It's just too much sometimes.
There's a statement there that says, isn't the question of who can represent us a moot point, because by open contact we'll have the collective consciousness well developed by that point.
But we're talking about human disclosure.
Yeah, we're talking about human disclosure, which
extraterrestrial
could happen on Monday.
disclosure is a whole different ballgame.
So you just don't know. And the collective consciousness of the human race won't be ready by Monday. Good question, but it's coming from a different perspective, I guess.
That's coming at it from the extraterrestrial perspective.
Yeah, and I would suggest that although the distillation is in use in regards to spirit realm, and that the Zetas and other races distilled the astral, that is still not classed as a collective consciousness.
No.
There needs to be a dedicated group of people that are required to hold space for the collective consciousness to actually be created. And that consensus reality, if you want to call it that, then needs to be held continually 24 hours a day until it actually develops from an embryonic stage, I would suggest, into something that's a fully conscious and living entity.
I think the Zeta said 3 or 4 years ago that it was, during the sitting, that it was still very much in its infancy.
Yeah.
So
it is,
I don't know. It's not something we've actually asked about for a long time.
Right.
That's completely.
As someone said, I can't think of anybody who's qualified to do the job. I know if I had to do it, I probably would wonder if I could even be cognizant of what I was doing with extraterrestrialism. So I'll give you an example. Would I be under an altered state influence? So I really don't know what is going on. If they've got the ability to shift my energy and frequency, am I really going to be fully in control and cognizant of what I'm thinking? And so I think basically the answer to this is it actually can't be just one person. It would have to be a group of people.
This goes back to what the Zetas told us.
Yeah, and the Zetas have said this. They've said they'll never ever trust one person with all the information, because the power for that information to corrupt that person is too high.
Yeah.
And I can understand that. So if the contact scenario was that there was a group of people, and all those people could be all scientists and physicists and philosophers and all that sort of thing, and they all get together and they all agree that our basic premise here is peace on this planet.
That would be really nice.
Then, of course, we know that as a group that they can guardrail each other, basically, right? Nobody's just going to make up their own mind about what to do. All right, so we'll see how this goes, but that's further on down the line. John says, I'm not convinced that a blanket disclosure by the extraterrestrials would be a positive thing. Actually, I already know they exist and are interacting with us, so I don't really care about disclosure or not. See, it just depends where you sit in this sort of framework, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Some people wouldn't care, other people will care, other people will try for contact. The people that have actually had physical contact will struggle greatly, or it may be a great relief. I mean, nobody really
I
knows.
imagine the complexity of those feelings if you're one of those people who have experienced physical contact
Yeah.
sort of 30, 40, 50 years ago. You'd be jumping from relief to validation, probably to anger.
Yeah.
You know, you'll be bouncing backwards and forwards.
Have you noticed that the level of those type of contact situations, they don't really happen anymore? They're all back in the 80s, the 90s.
Yeah.
Those sort of situations.
Yeah.
And I mean, that maybe were much more common back then because there's technologies that didn't exist back then either.
Well, the rate of technological advancement by the races who are acting in our best interests is phenomenal, and we've been told that they don't really need to do the physical visitation in the same way that they used to.
And give people scoop marks.
Yeah, that doesn't really happen anymore unless you're being visited by races that don't
like scoop marks.
Don't have that.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But anyway,
service to self.
And the other question I had would be, would full disclosure, and we're talking about full, not just drip feeding people.
Like as in a global event?
Would it be a global event where they would have all countries, all people, sort of it's a live event?
Yeah.
Because that would be amazing if it was.
I just don't know whether people would buy it.
They may not. They may go, oh, that's just virtual reality.
Yeah.
Oh, that's made by AI. That's holographic imagery. And that's fine. That's fine. But I said this to Syann before.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if you're saying, oh, well, none of it's real, and then a craft just pulls up over the top of your town. And
that would be awesome.
And then you're going, I don't know, is that a real craft, or is that something?
Imagine if you could throw a stone at it and it actually pinged. I think I'd be more convinced.
You'd be wondering if it was made in Australia, wouldn't you?
I'll be looking for the stamp, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh dear. All right. So you can see it's sort of complicated, right? It's not just, oh, we're all not going to sleep, or oh, we're all not going to manage. It really varies. It really, really varies.
Just reading a comment.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the level of humanity's collective consciousness may continue to rise every day, the experience of disclosure by governments is going to scare the crap out of everybody initially. Maybe not. Maybe not. But people are pretty tough, eh? Look at what is going on the planet at the moment. Not mentioning anything.
Just files. And
people's doing stuff. And then, of course, everyone's going, okay, well, this needs to be sorted out. So
yeah.
I think people are tougher than they look. That's really what it comes down to.
I think some people would be absolutely terrified. Absolutely. And then other people
would be on top of the building, like in Independence Day with their placards.
Their placards, yeah.
Welcoming.
Or think about Contact with Jodie Foster when she's on the drive back through to the research station.
Oh yeah.
And they've got the people singing, and then the people damning this.
Welcome to Vega.
Well, yeah,
that was funny.
It's probably a good representation of what would happen.
So then the last one is those that are in euphoria and wanting to seek extraterrestrial group and public events, CE5 and other type of events. The problem is that it really does come down to that the moment that there's some level of official announcement about something, and there's some files or videos or whatever, and I know that one of the senators has said that there's 46 videos that they want released.
Okay.
Then what's going to happen is that there will be a push globally by a lot of people to want to make contact.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to say is that people need to understand a few basic concepts. And I know we keep hammering this home, but we have to say this because first thing I would want to know if there was contact and disclosure and all the rest of it, I'd be having to know, well, what is my energy?
Well, we've got some questions.
Can I? Yeah, we can. Yeah.
I'll read them.
Can I recognize what's not my energy, because of course that's what these beings are going to be presenting to us. What are you presenting to the beings as well? Is the energy that you've got in your attempts to contact these beings, is it distorted? Is it you just with all your problems seeking some help or healing or whatever? And do we even know what we believe about ourselves to be true? That's really important. And so we need to be clear and grounded and put ourselves in their place, with the being's place, and understand that when we're looking to contact them, that ultimately they're looking to see who we are. And that for a lot of people, they may never, ever get contact because of that.
Shall I explain it a little
Yeah,
bit?
go for it.
So, when an extraterrestrial race with our best intention does come to us, okay, so note I'm making a clear distinction there, the ones with our best interests at heart, okay, because there are plenty that don't have that. When the good ones come along, when they're near us, everything that we carry inside, all our emotions, experiences, everything that's attached to those experiences, good and bad, they experience that only in a hugely amplified state.
Yeah.
So maybe you're a person that carries a lot of anger, and maybe that's not your fault. You're angry for a good reason, right? And you've got that anger, it's unresolved, it's with you on a daily basis, it's affecting everything that you do. An extraterrestrial being, if they came near that, they're going to get all of that anger. Only they're not going to get it to the level that you've experienced it. They're going to get it 100 million times worse. Because of that, they won't come near that person carrying all that anger. When we work with people, we emphasize that we have to try and resolve all of these, all the baggage that we collect during our life. We need to try and make our energy as clear and as calm as possible, because they can't manage that amplification if it's just too much. And if your energy is in such disarray, they can't really work with you anyway. So what's the point of connecting in the first place?
Think about this. If you're a hypersensitive person, and say to EMF, and you go into a shopping centre and they've got a lot of Wi-Fi routers, you could be really struggling. Now, if you're feeling that way, there's the last thing that you're going to want to do is bring that with you back into your own life. You're trying to get out of there as quickly as possible. And so if you think about beings, they're going to want the same thing. They're probably not even going to want to go to that space with a person, because they don't want to experience that stuff. And that's why this whole existence on a three-dimensional plane is so difficult, because spirit people say this all the time. It's like mud. It's dense, it's heavy, it's thick. And so the truth is that to make any level of contact, even with spirit, you've got to be in silence. You have to be in silence, and because without that, all it is just noise.
Yeah, I guess for any, let's hypothetically pretend it had happened and the governments had disclosed. We'd have some questions. Self-reflective questions we'd put to a person who came to us and said, "Oh my God, I want the ET contact. I want my own ET. I want to talk to the ET." And they start like this: "What do you expect that contact to look like?"
Good question.
What does that contact even look like to you?
Do you want to take them shopping? Do you want a shopping buddy?
You just want somebody to talk to when you're bored.
You just want somebody to talk to when you're bored, like your guide.
Yeah. Could you on any level understand what that contact meant if they actually did turn up? Would you even know who had come? Truly, would you even know?
And that comes down to, we've talked about this in other videos, but spirits pretending to be extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
Beings pretending to be from another race. Trickster entities, even astral entities, and so
Yeah.
you're really not sure who you're dealing with until you start to
Yeah.
gain a level of evidence.
Do you have the intuitive ability to discern what the being's intention really is? You know,
That's it. That's the one.
that's a big one.
That's the big one, because you could be walking into a very, very difficult situation.
Then, lastly, how would you then manage the evidence process to work out whether that being is friend or foe?
And the problem with that is you've actually got to let them come into your space.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so technically
Yeah.
difficult to work out what's going on when you first start out.
Yeah.
And that when I say first start out, I'm talking about over years, not weeks. Yeah. And just because a being says that they're from this race or whatever doesn't mean that they actually are. Why do I say that? Because spirits also can represent themselves as different people, different ages as well. So a spirit can be 130 years old and present themselves as a 20-year-old. And they do that for various reasons, and it's up to them why they do it. If you ask them, they'll explain it, especially through a trance medium. But realistically, it's up to them.
I think the Zetas have kind of shown some level of concern for this group, for Group 7, the people that want a piece of the action, that want to get involved and join contact groups and things. I think they generally they are concerned.
Well, the Zetas understand what disclosure on any level, even minor or major disclosure, full disclosure, actually means, because they would have at some point had to have gone through that themselves.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, to find out that you're not alone, and then where do you go from there, and what happens as that develops becomes the biggest question. So all we're saying is I know that a lot of people are talking about disclosure and everything, but we wanted to break it right down to the level that we're at, so that people could sit back and go, well, and that question before is, and which one was it?
Which one?
Which one? The really good question that was, what does my disclosure? What does
contact look like?
What does your contact even look like? And I think that unless a person had some idea what it looked like, they would be completely just in the dark. They would not have any idea of what that contact looked like. And I think that's where everybody starts out in the beginning. And for anybody that does have proper contact, then of course they're going to know what that looks like now, but they didn't know what it looked like in the beginning, and it may have morphed into their current relationship.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about the people that would maybe now open themselves to listening to public channelers online and maybe, I don't know.
What, have we got any tips? Red flags?
We have got some red flag tips.
Red flags?
Yeah.
Even bright red if you want.
So, and this is the first one, right? And we've seen this online multiple times with multiple different channelers. I'm just laughing even thinking about one of them. Thinking about it. I'll tell you later.
Don't tell me. I don't want to know.
Instant communication, right? So let's pretend I'm going to channel the Zetas right now, which I'm not, but let's pretend I was. And I just went, okay, I'm going to do this right now. And I start talking, and it's like instant. No. Okay. So if you're ever watching a public channel or whoever, wherever you are, it doesn't matter whether you're in a room with 2 people, 20 people, or you're watching it online. If you're watching somebody channeling and they go from their completely normal state to channeling within the space of a couple of seconds, maybe even within a minute or two, no.
It's a problem.
It takes time for your energy to match theirs,
the frequency,
heterodyne with theirs.
But
they
remember,
have to come down, we have to go up, and this process takes time.
We're not talking about trance mediums here.
No, we're not talking about.
So channeling is not trance, mediumship. They're two completely separate things.
Yeah.
Now, a channeler may know that part of what they say is coming from their own mind, but they're okay with that, and they're okay with getting some things wrong. And that's a great space to be in, because that means that the being that's working with them knows that their ego is not in the way, and that they will acknowledge that they may have made some mistakes and all that. And that's a good space to be in. The danger or the problem is when the channeler cannot acknowledge that. And that's why when I was doing an interview yesterday with Rodrigo at Chateau, we were talking about that. He's got his own channel on YouTube, and he's in this conversation as well. So we did talk about that yesterday.
I've got the wrong glasses on. I didn't see.
You didn't see?
Love and light language, new age rhetoric. That's a human thing. Extraterrestrials just don't use it. They're extraterrestrials. They don't use acronyms. They don't speak colloquialisms. I can't even say that word.
That's a tough word, that one.
But you know what I'm saying? They generally use language at its literal, in the most literal sense.
Well, John says about the anaesthetic, and let's say that we know that spirit apply an anaesthetic to the medium.
Yeah, that's your word to describe.
And not like when you go to the dentist, right? Yeah. That you has definitely shifted out of phase with your normal behaviour, your normal environment, and then of course because you're shifted, you shift into that space with the spirit person. Now, those shifts occur with the Zetas as well. Sometimes they can be extremely strong. They can be with spirit as well. Don't underestimate how strong spirit energy is. I've been in some sittings with mediums, and it was extraordinary how strong the energy was. Yeah. Even to the point that there was sparks coming off the medium, which wow, what an experience. It was just amazing. It was Tom. And but in that sitting seance, he was levitated out of the cabinet, and we saw it. It was just amazing.
He still sat in his chair,
tied into his chair. It was just great. And so when you see these sorts of things, it's mind blowing. Yeah. So if it's mind blowing from spirit perspective, then how mind blowing is it going to be from extraterrestrial perspective or interdimensional?
Yeah, awesome. Jeff says channelers, I can't read it. Channelers
have to be careful that during the experience they do not get burned out by higher energy being. Yeah, so if the person actually is a proper channeler, they are connecting with a higher entity, there has to be a staged approach to moving in to the channeling process and out of the channeling process, or else that person will become quite unwell very quickly.
Yeah, they will indeed.
Yeah.
This is your next red flag. If you do not notice a difference between the personality of the person of the we'll just call them the channel or the medium, and the communicator, and this applies to spirit people as well, let alone extraterrestrials. If there's no difference in their speech pattern, the cadence, the rhythm of their speech, maybe the type, the level of language that's being used, it's probably just that person talking, even if they sound like wise words of wisdom.
But let me say also that let's talk about the extreme of that. Yeah. That the person is displaying extreme change, and it seems to be too extreme.
Like exaggerate.
Yeah, totally. They know, a person knows that there has to be a change, or else people won't believe what they're saying. Yeah. And so they put that on, and I've seen it. So I'm like, come on, this is just. There's no shift in the room. There's no energy shift in the room as well. So
any being that starts off the conversation with greetings, Ego speak. This is a big one. Okay, so if you notice any talk of how important that medium or channeler is, or if that medium or channeler is channeling how important somebody else is, big red flag for that.
Yeah, the Zetas have never said that anyone's important. To be
No.
honest, they've said that nobody's special and everybody's different.
Yeah,
And as long as you come at it from that perspective,
yeah,
then you can come from a grounded space.
yeah.
There's no one's an ambassador.
No.
There are no ambassadors, because if that type of language is being used, it's just an ego-based process.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Unquestionable entities.
Oh boy. So if the entity can't be questioned, this is a real trap that some people fall into. You should always be able to question your guides, or question the being, or question the spirit. And you know what? They may not have the answer. And if I've seen this so often, where somebody who is a proper medium has a spirit person talking through them, and the spirit person will go, I don't know the answer to that. And I'm like, thank you, I really appreciate that, because then you know that you've actually got somebody there that knows what they're doing. I'm talking about the medium getting right out of the way and not biasing what the spirit is trying to do.
Yeah.
Whereas, and I spoke about this yesterday in Rodrigo's interview, that we were talking about the writings of Silver Birch, and the actual article called The Problems of Communication. And I would advise everybody to read that. Now, it's available online. The problem is when you type in Silver Birch, it actually comes up with a tree or something, because there's a birch tree called that, right? So you've got to find put mediumship or something after the word spirit or whatever, so it finds his work. But this work was done back in
long time ago.
40s or 50s or something like that. Some of the old writings are the best. And you can learn a lot from them.
They're still relevant today.
Very relevant.
Yeah.
The problems of communication.
Yeah. Human-related information only. So what we mean by that is if the information from your extraterrestrial communicator is only providing information that is on a human type level.
How to bake bread.
Yeah, how to bake bread. The best smoothie combination.
That's the problem. Well, it's not really, because everyone likes nice fresh bread, don't they? So.
Yeah. Just reminding you that Zetas don't actually eat bread.
Yeah, I know that, but yeah,
it's definitely a problem.
No, I'm saying, like, say a spirit came and said, I've got a really good lasagna recipe for you. I'd say, I'm listening.
I'd say you're from Italy.
Yeah, you must be.
Lack of satisfactory answers. If you are just told no and not given any decent explanation, that's a red flag there, right? So if you're working with a being who professes to have your best interests at heart, and they're just giving you a slam door no, that's wrong. There has to be a level of disclosure about why.
Can you explain why? Yeah. Well, why is it a no? Well, because you're in a space that's probably, it's not good for you or whatever. But whether you accept that answer from them is up to you then to debate that with that.
Well, that comes to deflection activity, and this is where let's say you're talking to an extraterrestrial through a medium, and you say, look, I really want you to bring a craft, because it's pretty much the only way I'm going to believe you're an extraterrestrial.
That's a tough ask, by the way.
It's a big ask, and you're told, well, when you're ready, we'll bring a craft. When you're developed, we'll bring a craft. Maybe if you display the right level of development activity, maybe we'll send a craft, right? And it never happens. We'll see in a couple of years' time. We'll see if the conditions are right, when conditions are right. So your answer is continually deflected.
The problem with that is I would have expected that in the past, with a limited level of technology that was on planet at that point, To bring a craft would have been a lot easier.
Yeah.
Now, with all the technology that's on the planet,
Now it's difficult.
it's could be extremely difficult to actually get a craft through all the space junk,
But they can
past the
materialize.
International Space Station, past all the people looking through their telescopes. Everybody's got an iPhone. I mean, and you're saying that you want a craft to come.
To be honest, I think that would be the least of their worries, given like the level of zappy laser stuff that supposedly exists up there at the moment.
Yeah.
What about the materialization? You know, extraterrestrials can do that because we see it frequently. They materialize. So you know, there's
that's definitely one way to do it.
There's lots
but
of.
I would caution that
Yeah.
as being evidence because other beings can also materialize, and using technology, they can extend another overlay over themselves so that they look like something that they're not. All right.
False prophecies.
Well, that's generally pretty. Everyone knows about that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's going to happen on Monday. This is going to happen, and all the rest of it doesn't happen. So on Tuesday, the being or the person says, "Oh, we've decided to change the date. The planets weren't aligned, or something, or whatever." And then then they keep promising stuff, and in the end, I completely avoid listening to prophecies about stuff because it's just so many false prophets and stuff. It's even a biblical term, by the way. All right. So that's what we've been talking for over an hour about this, and I'm sure that people are probably fallen asleep. Maybe I'm not sure. All right.
I'm assuming there aren't any last questions because I can't see any. Not that I'd be able to read them too well anyway.
No, it looks like it's all finished. All right. So hopefully we've given you enough information, and I know that we sort of went around about a bit, but that's fine. In the end, it is what it is, and we will see what happens if and when disclosure takes place. So we'll see you soon.
I'm not going to hold my breath.
No, don't hold your breath. It's no good.
No.
All right. All right.
All done.
See you later, everybody. Bye-bye.